Alright, so this is my review for EDF6. By the way, I do want to say that this review is specifically for the PS5 and specifically just playing as the Wing Diver. I didn't play with anybody else. I'm trying to fully grind out the Wing Diver, and then I'm going to move on to other characters. I want to start with the controls. The controls are good, especially for the Wing Diver class. You can shoot, walk, fly around, throw grenades, dash, access the chat menu, use the emote wheel easily. Vehicle controls are also well set and easy to use. Overall, the controls work well. I don't have any complaints. Next up is character vehicle movement. Movement is solid. The Wing Diver is fun to play with. You can fly high, shoot down enemies, and use different weapons like plasma, electric, explosive, and guided rockets. But it's annoying that you have to keep dashing around and can't hold down the dash for continuous flight. Mech also feels too slow, and aiming and turning around with mounted guns feels really slippery. Vehicles I've also tried to get in as the Wing Diver also feels slow and hard to control. Overall, character controls are pretty good, but the Wing Diver's jets could use some improvements, and the vehicles really need a tune-up. Next up are the enemies. The enemies are fun to fight. You have bugs and aliens with different attacks. Some are ranged, some are melee, some pull you in with webs, some try to swallow or spit on that thing. All the different kind of bugs and bees are satisfying to kill in their own ways. They can be dismembered and explode. Frogs are fun, but playing as the Wing Diver, you need to be a little more agile and dodge their attacks when you're fighting them. There's aliens with tentacles that are also fun to fight, especially when you blast their shields to a crisp and you let your team finish them off. Humanoid aliens that are agile and often do combat roles when they're the last ones left on the map. The big fish enemies are tough but satisfying to fight, even though they can be pretty hard in the end game. Still very thick, juicy, meaty guys to kill. They squirt all kind of purple toxic juice at you. I like them. Enemy ships are kind of tricky for the Wing Diver, but you can still manage solo with the right weapons pretty decently. Flying dragons by far are the least fun to fight, and they feel boring compared to the other enemies. They just do a lot of flying back and forth on the map, and it's hard to get in close range with Wing Diver. There's different enemy types, some with extra armor or weapons, and while the enemy variety is decent, more types of bugs and aliens would be definitely welcome. Next up are missions and difficulty. EDF6 has 147 missions, story missions, including eliminating enemies, destroying spawn sites, taking down towers that spawn enemies, fighting bosses, destroying beehives. Oh, and also enemy ships, they count as spawn sites. The missions are just that, just pretty simple and addictive, lots of enemies to shoot and loot. I think normal difficulty story mode is balanced really well. No complaints there. There's harder difficulties that give better loot, but it could be hard to find matches online. Even with some repetition, I feel like there's enough content and enemies to shoot and blast through and weapons to upgrade and stuff to keep you going through the game, and it won't feel too repetitive. Especially for the people that are getting this game and you already know it's going to be a shoot and grind fest. You're not going to care too much about repetitive content. Next up are the maps. Not gonna lie, the maps could use more variety. I like the endgame city area, but wish there was more colorful urban environments, as well as mountainside villages or large farm communities. Adding cover, more things to blow up would make some of the bland maps more fun. Like, I was thinking about one thing you could do. They can add big crop farms, and the player could shoot the crop farms into dust and use that as a smoke screen for cover from enemy fire. Next up are the rewards. I like the looting system, with new weapons and upgrades always making the game fun. The shared loot system in multiplayer isn't explained well though, and it was really confusing trying to figure it out. I didn't know if I was just hogging all the armor and weapons for myself and the other players I was playing with weren't getting anything. It would be helpful to have clearer info about loot sharing and a way for each class to collect more loot easily, like a little pickup drone or something, especially for new players, so we wouldn't be so confused. Overall though, I think the rewards and looting are very good. Nice and fun, but the system does need some better explanation. Next up are the weapons. Wing Diver's weapons are strong, especially at close range, needing quick movement to dodge enemy attacks while dealing damage. The high risk, high reward style is great for fast-paced gameplay, which I love. Wing Diver's ranged weapons like guided missiles and beam rifles could be better with faster missiles and wider beams in my opinion. My favorite weapons are the mid-range energy weapons, Thunder and the crossbow, and the close-range phalanxes. Overall, I think the weapon and gear options are excellent with a lot of variety and utility. Next up are weapon levels. The game doesn't explain weapon levels and stars well. I'm not sure what the yellow highlight means. There's no way to preview how each weapon performs and there's so many weapons that you genuinely forget what some of them do. And without a firing range, testing weapons is a pain. There's no way to compare or see maximum weapon levels. Just overall, the weapon menu needs to be updated to be a lot more helpful. Next up are gear requirements. I think it's annoying that missions have a maximum armor and weapon level limit, but no minimum level. This can make low-level weapons useless in harder difficulties, but they're still available, so you'd think that they might be useful on the harder difficulties, or since they've gotten upgrades they might be useful, but no. Online, low-level players will often join high-level games, which make things harder for everybody. Finding matches with well-equipped players can be tough, and many games end up with under-equipped players. Overall, I think the gear requirements system really needs a little tune-up. Also, apparently there is a gear limit that I can set, but I have no idea how to set it. The game doesn't tell me anything. Next up is multiplayer. I play with randoms. Playing with random players is usually fine on normal difficulty, but without crossplay, finding matches outside of peak hours can be hard. Especially for hard missions, many players don't have good gear. But I'm sure as more players finish the story and move to harder modes, matchmaking should improve and I'll get some more matches. The multiplayer is fun, but really needs crossplay and some more options for setting gear limits. Next up is the voice acting. I like the voice acting. Since I haven't played previous EDF games, I can't compare, but as a new player, the lines are good and get the job done. The screams are great, the chat options are funny and useful, which is a nice touch. I know some longtime EDF fans might disagree, so feel free to let me know in the comments of how wrong I am. Maybe link and reference some really good EDF lines. Now the game score. I'm giving EDF 6 a 6 out of 10. It's a lot of fun and has a lot of content, but it's missing a lot of modern features and quality of life improvements. Lack of crossplay, unclear weapon menus, bland maps, poor vehicle movement are really big drawbacks. Especially at $60, it feels overpriced given these issues. I think a price of around $40 would have been more reasonable. But hey, those looking for a horde shooter with different classes and upgrades and a lot of content to play through and grind, EDF 6 is your jam. But the rest of you might want to wait for sale or a price drop. I just think it's kind of silly that EDF has been making their games this long and a lot of this stuff hasn't been improved. But yeah, that's my EDF 6 PS5 review. I'm definitely going to still keep playing this game, so I'm not an EDF hater, but I do think the game needs some massive improvements.